Good afternoon. I am Bren Cuney, Manager of Member Services with the Ohio Restaurant Association. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our last webinar of the Social Media Webinar Series. So many apps, so little time, a focus on mobile apps. As you may know, the Ohio Restaurant Association Restaurant Education Series provides members free access to educational events that help them sustain and grow their businesses and are developed based on member feedback. Restaurant Education Series events support a key ORA initiative, the education of our members. All educational events are posted on the ORA website, ohiorestaurant.org. To find them, go to the Education and Events tab, then Restaurant Education Series tab. This is also where this webinar recording, along with the PowerPoint slides, will be posted in the next 2 to 3 business days. Heartland Payment Systems is the lead sponsor of all Restaurant Education Series events. We thank them for their support of this valuable programming. Before we get started, I want to review a few housekeeping items and let you know how you can participate in today's webinar. At the end of the webinar, we will take your questions. During the webinar, please feel free to send the questions to the moderator. I will show you how to do that momentarily. After the webinar ends, a survey is going to pop up. It will take you no longer than 3 minutes to complete. Please respond to this survey in order for us to improve our Restaurant Education Series offerings. We want to make sure that we're offering education that you find valuable. Currently, we're looking at an example of the GoToWebinar attendee interface, which is made up of 2 parts. The viewer window on the left, which allows you to see everything the presenter will share on his or her screen, and the control panel at the right. Within that control panel is how you can participate in today's event. So let's look at that. By clicking the orange arrow, you can open and close your control panel. From the View menu, you can also set the control panel not to auto-hide when inactive if you prefer to keep it open. The audio pane, when it works, provides audio information. By default, you have joined the webinar via mic and speakers. Click Audio Setup to select your computer speaker or headset devices. If you prefer, you can also join via telephone by selecting Use Telephone. And the dial-in information will be displayed, including an audio pin which you must enter. At the end of the presentation, we will take your questions. Please send your questions to our moderator through the question box and simply type in your question and hit send. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker. For those of you who have been on the webinar series before, you recognize this face. It's Sean Christie. So Christie Creative, LLC, is a full-service social media marketing agency. It was born out of Sean's passion for driving online buzz, combined with over 15 years of marketing experience. With the success the company was having in the food and beverage industry, he made the decision to launch a separate brand, Eat, Drink, Promote. Since its inception in 2010, hundreds of companies have turned to Sean for his expertise in crafting strategic social media messaging that builds brands and garners results. Sean has spoken to groups all over the country on the topic of driving revenue with the incredible power of social media, including ORA's own North America Pizza and Ice Cream Show, as well as the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Show for the past 2 years. Sean's also the president of a new company, Focal Point Social Media. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you, Brian. First, I just wanted to say thank you, Brian, for having me over the last 7 weeks. And working with you has been a pleasure, and I'm certainly very thankful for that opportunity and also to give back to the membership here at Ohio Restaurant Association. So thanks for that. Today we're going to be talking about mobile apps, and we are a strategic social media marketing company, but in our travels, our clients also use other marketing tools outside of just the social media piece that we're working on. And some of these mobile apps that we'll be talking about do have a social component. So while we don't manage all of these for our clients, we just take notes along the way of things that are interesting. So I just want to share some of that knowledge to you. And if you have questions that I cannot answer, I will make sure that I get those answers for you here in the next 24 hours, just in case something comes up that I do not know. So I just want to preface that. But I thought this would be a good starting point. Keep calm. There's an app for that. Apple has done a fantastic job with there's an app for that. And in fact, there is an app for everything. I use it for barbecue. I use the Weber app when I'm using my barbecue tools, and to figure that out as that's becoming a passion of mine, all the way to how to fold a pocket square. So certainly people know to go to the App Store for things that they're interested in learning about, or they just want to feel like they're more connected. And so whether that's something that's a personal passion, or for us, in our intents and purposes, food and beverage locally, there definitely is an app for that. So I just picked out a couple that we've run across that I could share with you, and hopefully there's some that you're familiar with, but maybe you learn a thing or two, and there may be some that you've never heard of before, and that's great as well, that you might be able to take some of those pieces of information back and implement them in your business. Certainly it's very hard to keep up with 6 different social media platforms and being worried about the different apps and where you might want to go. So take a look at all of the information that's been presented over the last 7 weeks, and really take a look and figure out what makes the most sense for your business, both in terms of your target market and your limited availability of time and resources. Make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and spending the most time with the things that make the most sense. And as time and resources open up, that you branch out. Just a couple quick statistics in terms of smartphones, and these shouldn't shock you, and I believe you would all be on board with the fact that smartphones are very popular and mobile marketing is huge, and that's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We're all very busy, and having this nice device in our pocket with every piece of information that we would ever want to know, that's a nice place to be from a marketing perspective. So to give you an idea how many smartphones are out there, 143 million. And then take that a step further, the tablet market is growing as well, and you've got 71 million tablets, and that's in the United States. 91% of adults own a mobile phone, and 61% of those are smartphones. To give you an idea of the breakdown, Android versus iPhone, 53% are Android and 40% are iPhone. And then more millennials own a smartphone than own a laptop, which I thought was pretty incredible. It's not a huge percentage more. I think it's a 4 percentage point more increase there, but still worth noting. And then you can see here the percentage of adults, men and women, that own smartphones, pretty close. And then it breaks down the age groups. And if you take a peek, you've got your 25 to 34 age group that is represented highest at 81%. And then again, you can see here the race and ethnicity breakdown as well. The first one, and probably the most robust of the apps that we'll talk about, is Urbanspoon. And frankly, I like this one the best in terms of layout. It's icon-based when you log on there, and it pretty much gives you anything that you would want. So you have a talk of the town where you can take a look at recently reviewed, where people are talking about that. The hottest restaurants in Cleveland, the hottest restaurants in Columbus, Cincinnati. They have the ability here to take online reservations, so that's something else that may be of interest to you if that's something that you do. Top picks, you've got highest rated, then you've got the James Beard Foundation winners and nominees. So if you've got some of those local, they have a special call-out that's in a tab. Bargain Gems, and this is going to be best, highest rated at best value. So in Akron, for instance, we have a curbside restaurant called Swenson's that when our family is in from out of town, they always want to go there. It's a fairly inexpensive, fast place to go, but their burgers are fantastic. So they would be somebody that would be featured in this Bargain Gems section, for example, in mine. Then you have the ability to search. So if it's something that you're hungry for, if it's a burger joint or Mexican, Chinese, Thai, seafood, again, icon-based navigation that scrolls left to right, so I can quickly pick what I'm in the mood for and see what comes up. In addition to that, we can also search by price if I want something cheap eats, or if it's a special event, graduation, anniversary, I can search in that manner, and then breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it makes it very easy for you to take a look and quickly find what you want. And the idea of the smartphone app really is giving our customers the information that they're searching for in the most efficient manner. If the smartphone can accomplish that, it will be visited time and time again. People want information, and they want it right now. So that efficiency is a key to any app that works. And Urbanspoon is a pretty popular one, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. Another one that you may be familiar with is Opentable. Reservations is the big thing here, in my opinion. I will say that you want to try to drive reservations from your own platform rather than through their app. And Opentable gives you some pretty impressive integration with Facebook and your website. So if you have somebody that can help you on your staff, or if you're fairly savvy, you can actually make a tab on your Facebook page that will integrate the Opentable so they can make the reservation right from Facebook. In addition to that, use that in your posting strategy for your social media, because it costs you less if people are coming to you and making the reservation than it costs you if they're making the reservation through the app itself. Also, reviews. We find that the largest amount of reviews, for the most part, for restaurants that take reservations will come through Opentable. So you can see here, DBA is a fairly new restaurant locally. It's a Dante Bacuzzi restaurant, and they've got 83 reviews. Crave's been around a little while, but they have 98 reviews. And these star reviews are absolutely, just like Yelp, driving they're driving traffic. So people will take a quick look if they like what they see in terms of the reviews, and you can break those down. You can click through and read every one of those reviews. But at 4.5 stars, you're going to probably bet that they're pretty good. You can also get points, and so I know there are different programs for you where you can get giveaway specialty points to people for making a reservation. And then just the search function. You have a multitude of search functionality that you can use within the app. So if you do take reservations or you're considering that, take a look at Opentable. I will tell you that our clients that use this, they are all very happy with it. I have heard of folks at conferences say that they've had some concerns here and there, but overall, Opentable does a nice job, and it's got a nice integration. So it's something to at least consider and talk to a representative from Opentable if that's something that you'd like to do. Foodspotting is another one. It's interesting, but it doesn't have the traction of some of these other ones. It's just a great way to kind of follow your friends and see what they're eating. So I would say out of the ones that I'm going to share with you, this is probably the least popular, but it is still very interesting because from a social media perspective, the social media that we see really taking off right now comes in kind of two sections, one being the imagery, so pictures, and one being messaging. And so you have the ability within this platform to do both of those things, but it's really just a great way to share what you're eating and what you like through a visual-based platform. So this is very similar to Instagram for food, would be the best way to put this. Most people are using Instagram for this, but if you've got a foodie, this is probably something that they're participating in. You can search different dishes, so instead of looking for restaurants, you can look for pizza, salmon, even drinks. One of our clients, 3 Point here, has a lot of martinis that are very unique, so I think there are actually more martini pictures taken by customers here than their food, so that might be something else. You can sort through the best or the ones that have been posted most recently. You can follow restaurants, and then they've got a badges and points feature as well. So again, this is something that's out there, interesting, should take a look at, but when you take a look at the whole landscape, it might be a secondary thing that you take a look at, but just know that it's out there. This one, to me, is the most interesting. This gluten-free movement, I think it has a lot of buying potential, and my friends that are in this situation oftentimes don't go out to eat because it's so hard to find places. So when this app was introduced to me, I found it extremely interesting. Many of the restaurants we work with have some gluten-free options, but they're not marketing them. And this is a great tool for somebody to be able to find different restaurants that might have something to offer for them so they don't have to fear going out to eat, because no one wants to go to a restaurant, look at the menu, and figure out, hey, there's nothing that I can eat here. I'm just going to have a water. Or, that kind of downs the whole group. So you can do a little bit of research on the front end. So if you offer gluten-free, take a look at this and see how you can integrate this. In addition to just having a restaurant search feature and having you as the restaurant show up, I think it's a good resource that you can pass along to somebody as well, something that you could market the app, because it also has gluten-free resources like articles that they can look at. They've got a cool dining card feature in there, and the dining card will give you the kind of do's and do nots in terms of eating. So if you're kind of new to the gluten-free universe, or this is something that you're trying, or your doctor mentions take a look at this, this will give you a dining card that will share with you things to stay away from and things that would be good choices. And lastly, there's recipes. So what's cool about this app is it's just not all about restaurants. It's about people that need to have a gluten-free diet. It's a great resource. So it gives them reasons to come back to the app. A lot of apps that I've seen, they don't give you good reasons to come back, so they often sit and get dusty. They sit on the shelf. So this one would be something that somebody would probably use often for a multitude of reasons, looking for restaurants, wanting more information, learning about it, and I think the recipes is a really cool option as well, and that's something unique that we haven't seen in many of these other ones that we're talking about. This one was interesting. Pay attention to it. In our area, this really hasn't taken off, and maybe in some of the bigger metro areas it has, but it's called GrubHub. And GrubHub is app ordering. So you can order pickup and delivery through this app, save your features. It's got menus for restaurants, kind of a one-stop shop, especially if you're looking at ordering lunch from the office. This would have a lot of application. You can save recurring orders and have favorite dishes. So we're seeing a lot of this online ordering. Panera just recently launched a cool app specific to them where you can put your order in, you can save orders, and it's kind of like a GrubHub but Panera specific. But just thought this was something that you could take a look at if you're trying to push the online ordering or the phone orders. You could use this as a tool to help you with that. But take a look at it for your area and see how widely adopted it is. It may be worth taking a peek at, and you break even if it doesn't take off. But if it helps you and it assists, if that's a push for you, it might be something to pay attention to. So just wanted to bring that one to your attention as well. And lastly, your own app. First and foremost, and most importantly, and I'm going to start with this even though it's the last bullet, make it do something amazing and different to make them come back. Because what you don't want it to be is somebody to download it while they're there in the restaurant, you're doing a big push, and then they never go back to it. So they need to have more reasons than just your menu and your contact information to go back. So run some contesting through it. Do some different things to get people inspired to come back. Maybe from a contest perspective, you could ask, and tie this into your social, you could ask people to go to your app through your social media and take pictures and name a dish. I really like engaging people so that they feel like they have ownership in some of the creative that goes on within the restaurant, because that ownership will make them come back, and driving them to the app to do some of those things I think is a great idea. You can also send push notifications. So if you're doing a charity benefit that's going to go to the local humane society and you want people to come in and remind them that that's happening, you can send things out through push notifications. The only thing here would be we've seen some folks go overboard with this, and they kind of push them away and they unsubscribe from the push notifications. So just like social media, don't oversell on that. Make it a real value add. One thing that we've seen that works well is with the push notifications is do some flash sale type stuff where somebody gets something for being the first one to come in and show the push notification or the app. So that's a good way to drive somebody in immediately. So take a look at some options for your push notifications that are outside of that sales sphere. Your social media, we've been talking about social media, and we've talked about the management of that, and that it needs to be multifaceted. So this is another good way that will push people to your social media where they can immediately engage with you. Some of the other things that you will typically see, these aren't earth-shattering: menu, photos, contact information. We've got some venues that do a lot of different events. They do live music, so those are things that people like to keep tabs on and they go back to see. So that might be something in there. And then online ordering. This is something that you can integrate that can go to email, as long as somebody's monitoring that email. And then there's hardware that can be purchased a lot of times on these, where it will spit the orders out to a wireless printer in your facility, and you can take those orders through the app. So those are some different apps that we've seen come across along the way that we just wanted to share with you today so that you know that they're out there. And then just talk about your own. If you've been considering your own, or you've had your own and you want to keep improving that, just making it, doing something amazing to get people going back and getting them excited about it, I think it is a big deal, so pay attention to that. Again, part of a multifaceted plan. If you're doing your own smartphone app, you definitely have to push that. People aren't going to the App Store and thinking, wow, I can't wait to download the ABC Restaurant app. That's definitely something that your people push and that your marketing pushes. And we've said this a few times, just market your marketing. So know that it exists, pick and choose, and then utilize capabilities. But be very strategic in what you try to attack, and some of these make no sense, or maybe you really like that gluten-free piece and you want to plug that into some of your other marketing, because at that point you're adding a lot of value to that person's life, and it's less about the restaurant and buying something. It's more about, hey, I understand that this is your situation, and we recognize that, we appreciate it, and we want to help you. So not only do we have these great food offerings for you, but we also want to give you some extra resources as well. And oh, by the way, some of the information in that app for you is great content to push through your other social media. So you definitely want to pay attention to some of those things, and there may be a great way to integrate and help you content curate and pull some of that into your existing channels. So with that, we'll turn it over to Q&A, and then Bren is going to also draw, while we're here on the webinar, the winner of the Facebook Makeover, and the winner may be on today. Everybody that's been on the webinar series has a chance to win through the last 7 weeks. So we're going to end with that on a high note, and I'll go ahead and kick it back over to Bren and see if there are any questions.
Yep, we have a couple questions here. One of the questions is, do you know of any other apps for online ordering?
Most of the online ordering that we do is actually, no, I don't, that are standalone apps. Most of the online ordering that our customers are using are integrated into their personal apps.
Okay.
And there are a lot of different custom options that are out there. I think some of the payment processing companies may even have their own technologies that can be dialed in.
Great. What can you tell us about e-wallets, ordering, carryout, and paying for it via app?
I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you, so I'm going to mark that down as something that I will research and ask about.
Okay, great. And then I'll get it out to the people that participated in this webinar.
And Brent, can you do me a favor and forward that to me just so I have it in electronic copy to respond to? Thank you.
I'm going to. And do you have an idea of the average cost to have your own app built?
I would say you're probably looking in the $2,000 range. We have a strategic partner that we work with. We don't do that in-house, but by nature of what we do, we get asked that. So we have a strategic partner, and I believe, Brent, there may be some other members in the Ohio Restaurant Association that do that as well from a purveyor standpoint.
Great.
But I would say $2,000 will get you an app that is a framework that is pre-built, that has a bunch of different options for you to choose from in terms of what you want. And then if you want some real custom stuff, there may be some additional design charges that go into that. But a lot of the functionalities that restaurants are using right now are pre-built, so you should be able to get one for a pretty reasonable cost.
Great. me see if I have any other questions. Those are the only questions that came in. So I was very excited to see about the Find Me Gluten-Free. I think that is definitely something that I see it on people's menus when I go out to restaurants, that, there's a lot of us who want to avoid gluten for various reasons, or there are people that are, celiacs. So I think it's a great option for people, and so definitely going to tell our members about the Find Me Gluten-Free for sure. So.
Sweet.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'd like to take just this time to thank Sean for his expertise. He gave much time, and not just the time for the 30 minutes webinar time here, but, researching this. So we really appreciate your time and your wisdom for this past 7 weeks of participation. So we really we definitely could not have done this without you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. And as you can see from this last slide, we do have one webinar scheduled for the rest of the summer, basically. So the title is Franchising the Right Choice? It's on August 6th from 2 to 3. And this webinar is really going to guide you to the steps you need to take to expand your business. It's really not to be missed if you have any plans to franchise in the future. Even if the future isn't next year, maybe it's 3 to 5 years, definitely listen in, see what you need to do, because there is a process to franchising, and David Romer of Action Coach will lead you through that process. So we hope you choose to participate in the webinar. If you choose not to, please know that it is going to be recorded. And we are currently planning future webinars for the rest of the year and for the beginning of next year, as well as in-person events. And we'd love to know if there's any burning issues that you have that you would like us to address in that education. When this webinar ends, we're going to have a survey. Again, really need you to fill that out, so it would be great if you could do that. And now we'd like to give away the Facebook page makeover that Sean will help us, will work with the member with. And just, Sean, I need a number from 1 to 57.
Let's do 21.
21. Heather Ross, and she's with Dempsey's Tavern. So I will put you two into contact, and we appreciate you offering this to our members. And I would just like to thank everyone for their participation today and for your continued investment in the Ohio Restaurant Association through your membership. This ends today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks.